Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today I have a very special guest all the way from Bulgaria. Petar Krastev, founder of Coach PK, is a fitness coach whose journey is a testament to transformation, resilience, and faith, leaving his home country at 22 with just 10 euros. Petar endured hardship, including living on the streets and working grueling jobs before finding purpose in fitness and personal growth. In 2019, his life took a profound turn when he became a newborn Christian, grounding his business in life and faith. Through Coach PK, he helps entrepreneurs and business leaders reclaim their health, focusing on physical, mental, and spiritual resilience. Petar, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lance. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we met on Podmatch, but man, anybody who has found God, found Christ, and has went through a struggle, I feel like is worth being on the show because I just love hearing those stories of resilience. So before we get into what you do with Coach PK, maybe you could tell us how you got here. Are you from a family of entrepreneurs? Are you the first to do something like this?
Kind of first, but my brother. So I have a brother who is we never lived together. He's 12 years older than me. And he did things in Bulgaria. So he gave me a lot of inspiration, but we never lived together. He never really kind of believed in I can do anything. So it was for me, he set the bar, and I grew up wanting to do things. I always wanted to do something. But it wasn't an easy journey, and I wasn't a success. This is not an overnight success story for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you went from living on the streets to founding Coach PK. To me, it sounds inspiring just in that one sentence. What do you think motivated you to keep pushing through those tough times?
So it's a good question. And hi, everybody, by the way, just forgot to say hi. I had a few things that really pushed me. And one of them was a great sense of responsibility to my parents to survive, because I really didn't want to live it. When I say tough times and what made me go through, I just remember the times when I just wanted to end my life. There was this moment sitting in the garage, no electricity, no water, very dark, and I was very lonely. That forget about the environment, the way I felt from the inside, that was really tough. And in those moments, I just didn't want to hurt my parents. I said, I'm made for something. I have to continue going, and I don't know where I'm going to end up. But I also had this, that was before I found God, right? So I had these human motivations. Any believer listening right now will understand that after I found God, now I have a different way of understanding and being motivated. But before that, I also wanted to just be somebody. I just wanted to have something. And I also had a sense of duty to my country, because the reason I left Bulgaria with 10 euros is because I literally had to escape. The country was so corrupt and led by the mafia, and there was no example of good entrepreneurs, good people that was accessible to young men like me. And all I was seeing is just crime and gangs and all the bad stuff. And obviously I grew up wanting to be like them, because that was the only thing that I saw as an alternative to what I had then. So I just wanted to make a change. I wanted to become wildly successful, come back here, and then start, making a change, giving something to the young people, giving an example at least. So,
Yeah,
this,
and you touched on the God part a little bit, I think. Can you elaborate a little bit more on it? And here's sort of my question with it is, how did your faith in God shape your shape your transformation and influence to fitness and coaching? Like once, because you said there was a human aspect to this, but then God changed it.
Yes, he literally completely interfered and said, no more. This is a new life, new you. And it's like a second person that he gave me to live with in his body. So that happened at the age of 28 or 29. And I wasn't a believer all my life. I was rejecting the possibility of intellectual human beings or somebody created the earth and us and commanding us and knowing everything. That was a ludicrous idea to me. I just believed in energy and stupid things like that,
Mm-hmm.
which and they're not too stupid. I mean, I agree it exists, but God is way bigger. And I lived very miserable life full of failures, a ton of failures. This podcast will never be enough. If anyone wants to listen to my story, it's out live now on my podcast, Limitless Body and Mind. Just launched it now, by the way. So this is exclusive uh, breaking news information on your podcast. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
And the story shared there, how I struggled a lot and I made many, many failures. And one day I just made a prayer because one guy just told me, you know what? We had a conversation and he said, go and pray if you're really interested. And at that point, at the age of 28, I was already humbled by my own decisions in my life. I already saw how I am getting exhausted. I literally gave every single ounce of sweat, blood, tears that I had in me, and I wasn't moving anywhere. I was literally finding myself in square one over and over and over and over again. And I was like, soon I'll be 30. I don't want to live this life. I can't go back home, have no girlfriend whatsoever, I have no money, I'm broke, nowhere to live, a bad relationship with parents and everything. So I'm like, there's something I'm missing. I'm not as smart as I thought. And I prayed to the sky and to the ceiling, and I said, God, if you're real, just apologize for not knowing you and not believing, and forgive me for all my sins, and show me the truth in the name of Jesus. And that was a simple prayer that I made. And the next day, something happened. I had an encounter with God. I didn't know that at the time, but it was explained to me later. And since that day, events, characters in me, people, anything that was happening in a certain way changed and started happening in a different way. I started feeling incredible peace and comfort in me. And because of that peace and calmness, I was crying every single day for a month straight. Like I was driving a car and suddenly burst into tears because I was so grateful that I was saved. And I can't explain that with words. Only a person who goes through this can understand how big this is. I never felt peace in my life, and I didn't know the feeling of being loved. And the people who were hurting me around me, they just vanished. My negative thoughts and behaviors and habits suddenly just started disappearing like out of nowhere. I was fighting with them for all my life. Suddenly something came into my life and lifted them off like they were not even there. And events changed, as I said. So I made a decision just before that happened. I made a decision to dedicate my life to health and fitness. And God started putting me on these paths of opportunities, great opportunities, so I can become the coach that I am today. I didn't even know I would be coach. I didn't know anything. He gave me the people, he gave me the tools, he gave me the courage, the time, and anything that a human being can need. And he made me who I am. So it's hope that explains what part he played in my life, and he still does. He
Yeah,
still continues.
100%. Yeah, no, thank you for that, Peter. That was beautiful. Uh, let's switch over to a little bit of your coaching. So you work with entrepreneurs and business leaders. What do you find is some of the most common challenges they face when it comes to balancing life, health, career?
Well, obviously, time and one that they don't really acknowledge, but it's the actual knowledge about what it really takes to change a person. Most people don't know as much as they think they know, right? There's a lot of they don't know that they don't know a lot of these things out there, and they kind of moving blindly, coming up with some diets and strategies, YouTube videos, advice from friends. But usually this information and tactics that they find out there, they don't really fit perfectly into their life
Hmm.
and lead to some sort of a failure. There is the time aspect, obviously. Um, and yeah, this an example of a very common mistake also would be that they think they're in their 20s. Most of the
Mm.
people who come to me already in 40 plus, 40s, 50s, some younger guys and women, but at that age, they haven't been training for like 1, 2 decades, 3 decades. and they think it's gonna be as easy as before, but it's definitely not. It's a massive battle ahead of, it's a personal growth journey. It's not just fat loss journey. You literally have to become somebody else if you want to make it to the other side and keep that weight off and just have a better life. And that's hard part. People don't see, they can't see, even if they try, they can't see what it's going to take. You've never done anything like that, and it's
Mm.
many X's bigger than anything you've tried. You certainly can't see the whole journey, and when you start going through it, people get scared and they drop off. They try to go hard, but they can't. They train too hard, they fail. They die too hard, they fail. They don't know what to focus on. It's too many things. That's where I can feel handy, telling them today we do this, tomorrow we do that. We focus on small tasks and we take them step by step.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
step, one foot in front of the other. It's sort of the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise ends up
Yeah.
winning because he's slow and steady every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so there's mental, one of the things I think you do is you emphasize mental and spiritual resilience in addition to the physical part that you just talked about. How do you
Yeah.
how do you integrate those spiritual elements into your coaching programs?
Well, the mental part I do integrate. The spiritual I only integrate with believers.
Mm-hmm.
To non-believers, I just give them the advice. Look, there's also a God, or return to your spiritual side. Some people are spiritual but not believing in God as well. So I'm trying to use their beliefs, and it usually comes down to that. When times are tough, they have to have some faith in themselves. But mostly I work on the mental part, where they need to have very positive relationship with the training, with the diet, with their positive healthy habits. And to do that, we need to have a very perfect balance between pushing very hard when they're
Mm-hmm.
lazy, and also when they fail, we need to be very acceptive. We need to accept that they have failed, and they have to accept that they have failed to achieve their weekly goals, for example, or the challenge they have set, or they have failed to meet the requirements. And we have to accept that and say, okay, that's part of the journey. That's totally fine. We just learned something. We tried. What did you learn from this process? Let's keep moving, but don't stay in the phase where you beat yourself up and you start being in a negative cycle of beating yourself up and then trying to make up for it. And that could happen with training, with that, with anything. And then because you're trying to make up for it in a negative state of mind, and you start making the negative emotional decisions, which lead to more failures and more failures. So there's that's like a father figure I have to play in there. Encourage, motivate, push, but also say, oh, you're fine. You didn't make it, but that's okay. That's part of the journey. And
Yeah,
they have to learn to do that too.
yeah, I like that. It seems like a gentle but stern sort of position, right? It's sort of like a father position, like you
Trying to do
described.
that, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, well, tell us a little bit more about the limitless body and mind community and how it supports individuals in achieving a holistic set of health, like we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that community started from my clients, right? One-to-one clients. And as I've been always working with entrepreneurs and executives, that's built into something very powerful. You come into a group with very much like-minded people who are very interesting. They all have achieved a lot of success. Usually that excites people more than the fitness itself. But then you suddenly start talking with these people about fitness. You join into these group sessions like weekly, discussing topics, learning together, asking questions. And we also have business mastermind sessions. And they start connecting a lot on many different levels. Very good people. And you know the saying, when you surround yourself with a group of people, you become just like that, just like them. And it does happen a lot when somebody is not in a community. And especially, let's let's put it this way. You're an example. You're an entrepreneur. You're at the age of 50. You're overweight, and you have very negative habits. The chances are everybody around you is kind of doing the same thing. Your family, your friends, your surroundings, everybody is just supporting that kind of behavior, and that's why you're this person. Suddenly, You wake up and you decide to change the direction. You want to be fit now. That requires you to have different thoughts, different habits, but there's absolutely nobody supporting that. And it's very much so like swimming against the tide in, in really trying to get somewhere. Maybe you can, but it's very hard. And when you join the community, suddenly you don't have to really swim against the tide, or at least you don't have to do it alone. Like there's a whole army of people who do it with you too. It makes a huge difference in that. It helps you change your beliefs, helps you see what's possible, what information is true, what is not. You make new friends, new accountability. They start looking up to you, you look up to them, and now you have a whole different sense of belonging, and that makes you into the different person. And you can perfectly well have your surroundings as well at the same time. What happens is in most cases when people start transforming and they change and they're part of the community, in about a year or so, maybe 2 years, then they start becoming the leaders in their environment. So the people around them, their family, the kids, the wives, the friends, they want to change too. They see that these people are serious. They've been leading the show for a long time. They're producing results. They have changed. And now everybody gets very inspired. So you become the leader, and that's what we're producing in the community. We're producing leaders for health and fitness that who continue spreading it, and it's very contagious, and I love it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, that's the thing is like negative energy is also very sticky, but when you can get the positive sticky energy, man, that really, and I know we kind of you already mentioned that like energy used to be way up here for you now, and then God is, because energy flows from God. But I believe it's totally infectious. Tell us about your immersive retreats. What kind of impact have they had on participants who attend them?
Well, in short, they do the things that we said now, but multiplied like by 10 times. When people come to the retreat and connect with everybody in person and hear some real deep stories and go into these amazing locations, they do change. The word that everybody describes the retreats when they come there, or at least 90% of the people, is life changing. And they all want to come again because it's an experience that it transforms you. I literally have some characteristical changes. Some guys, they come in one way. I feel their energy and their attitude is one way, and it's always been this way. Retreat goals, by the end of the retreat, they're never the same. Like, so impactful experience. And it's very hard to achieve that in any sort of environment or events in life. And we aim to do that. And it works. It's amazing. It's the best thing you can like do. Get together with some people who have the same goals and you like them and become friends and share some stories, especially as men. When we
Yeah.
start really opening up and sharing stories, I have people that have never done this in their life, and suddenly like I call them to the retreat and we do some workouts and do things together. And I drop the question, let's now share some stories. Huh? Let's open up. That is a transformative experience for everybody who's never done it before. Even if you've done it, it still is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love it.
yeah.
It sounds like it's great work, Peter. And so on that note of your great work, you've received some recognition lately, including being a finalist at the Paseta 360 National Coaching Awards. What does that recognition mean to you, and how does it feel to reflect on that commitment to helping others?
Yeah. Well, we have that. Yeah, we have these awards, right? The Paseta 360. I'm even for a second time there this year.
Hmm.
We have the Excellence in Healthcare. And the reason I'm going for these awards is because they serve as a tool that helps me stand out as a coach and not just as somebody in the health and fitness industry. Right now, unfortunately, this industry is very much corrupt and it's very much broken. It doesn't have the health of people in its interest in the industry, right? It's more about making money, and it's mostly profit driven in any sector. And as it's mostly profit driven, you compete with all sorts of schemes and trainers and coaches and magazines promoting a content which they make it sound like a magical content, but they don't really deliver the results. They don't deliver that coaching experience, which is absolutely required for somebody to change. Just because somebody is being on stage and has shown a six pack or has won a
Hmm.
competition in his life doesn't mean they can coach. Just because you finish a degree doesn't mean you can coach. It's a whole different story. And these awards are the only thing that I can really, as a document, as a certificate, given by experts, group of professionals on a certain level. This is document is the only thing that I can show and say it is this is what we do, and it's recognized, and it doesn't get more recognized than that. There is no certificate in the industry that will give me any more rights or any more recognition. They're all somewhat of broken, as I said. Even the best PT courses out there, they're outdated information inside them. The coaching courses, most of them are, they have some information, but again, made for profits. Not many things can serve me in the way that these awards can serve me. So I'm very grateful that I have them, and they're some of the blessings that God's given me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you for unpacking too what those awards mean and how people get there and then how they're evaluated. I think that's super helpful. I got two last questions to ask you, Peter, and I ask everybody these questions. First one
yeah,
is knowing what you know now, and if you could go back in time to when you first started Coach PK, what is one piece of advice you'd give your former self?
my former self,
Hmm.
just having more faith that I can pull this off. I've been anxious for a bit, way too long, and thinking, how am I going to make it? And I was leaning on God a lot, which I guess was for a reason, built my faith in God because He always delivered. And but that's the one thing, life is long enough to achieve a lot of things. When I look in future, I always feel like there is not enough time to get there. I have my wild goals, and it always feels like this really very small amount of time. But when I look back and I look at the same amount of time backwards, the amount of things that have happened and how I've changed, it's insane. The list is huge. And that experience tells me that this time is enough. Just relax, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Put in the work every day. Don't be too lazy. Don't stress too much about it. Enjoy the whole thing. This is your life. You need to enjoy it instead of just being anxious about it. You'll make it. Just don't stop. And
Yeah,
I think that's a powerful advice.
I think so too. Keep the faith. Peter, you've been fantastic. If people want to find you, follow you, get in touch about your services, if they want to check out the podcast, where do they go to do all that?
Thanks, Lance. It's been a pleasure to be here as well. So thanks for having me. They can find me in any major platform by searching for my name, Petar Krastev. I'm sure you will share some links. I will highly recommend you subscribe to my podcast, Limitless Body and Mind, dropping out now. As I said, this is a breaking news information. You can find it on all the platforms. On YouTube, it's live right now. On Spotify, it's live. Apple Podcast will approve it very soon. And you can also find the website of limitlessbodyandmind.com. It's not very confusing. So if you have the passion to learn some more, if you want to learn more, I'm sure you can find me. And yeah, that should be
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you,
that.
Peter. I actually just found Peter on LinkedIn and sent him a LinkedIn request in real time here. You can find him. He's got about 4,650 followers. Let's try to get him up to 5,000. Peter, God bless you. Thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Lance. Thanks for having me, and keep up the great work.